let's just see what happens if we get members of our community to basically tell their stories to members of city council, the local elected leaders. You know, they told stories of healing from postpartum depression. They told stories of recovering from PTSD. They told stories of rekindling relationships with family members that they'd lost touch with. My name is Ramzy Abueita. I'm a community organizer and a drug policy reform activist. My involvement in the decriminalization movement actually started in Ann Arbor. There was a new movement that had emerged in Ann Arbor coming from the Michigan Psychedelic Society. There's a group called Decriminalized Nature Ann Arbor, and Decriminalized Nature Ann Arbor was following in the footsteps of Oakland, California and Santa Cruz, California, which were the first two cities to implement a decriminalization of all the entheogenic plants and fungi. Ann Arbor kind of was following a really simple strategy. We're like, let's just see what happens if we get members of our community to basically tell their stories to members of city council, the local elected leaders. And those stories are very simple and very personal. You know, people just went on the record and told what their experiences were like. These stories were very heartfelt, and they were as simple as getting people to record videos, video testimonials of their stories, and just telling those stories, sending those videos to members of the city council. We thought they were just gonna, introduce the resolution and talk about it and then table it and bring it up at another meeting. But to our surprise, the very day that they introduced the resolution to the Ann Arbor City Council, we all of a sudden hear, motion to vote. And then all of a sudden, the Ann Arbor City Council voted to decriminalize 11-0. It was unanimous. It was a unanimous vote that completely caught us off guard. We weren't expecting it to be unanimous. We weren't even expecting them to vote. It's a testament to the power of how our stories influence our local elected leaders, because our local elected leaders, they're members of the community. You can be cynical about, what politicians can be like as you get higher up the rungs. But on the local level, at the very bottom, that's where you have the true grassroots voices. That's where the local elected leaders, they're members of the community that are your neighbors. They're people who are walking their dogs in the morning and run into people in the community. So when the community speaks, they listen. They tend to be compelled. When the Oakland City Council voted to decriminalize, it passed 9-0. It was unanimous. When Santa Cruz City Council voted to decriminalize, it was unanimous. Ann Arbor came number 3, it was also unanimous. We get testimonies from very different angles. Some people approach it from their very personal experiences. Some people talk about it from the scientific side. They talk about all the scientific evidence and the research articles and the studies, and other people talk about being therapists and in their therapy practice, seeing all the transformation in their clients. Other people talk about it from a cultural perspective. Other people talk about to the deep legacy indigenous practice. And in letting people show up and speak from their authentic voice, it allows us to get a constellation of perspectives of how people in the community engage and relate with these substances. And that allows the movement to be a well-rounded and holistic representation of how community relates to the substance. And it keeps the movement having an authentic heart. And it represents where the grassroots community is with the substances. And that is where the true power of the movement lies, in the stories, in the authentic voices, and by lifting the voices and allowing people who are having these experiences underground, allowing these voices to come to the light.